Calmer Waters 22. Please give your girl a like, a subscribe, and a share. I would greatly appreciate it. And to each and every one of my subscribers that are already subscribed, I thank you so much for tuning in to the channel and being here to engage in the topics that I like to discuss with each and every one of you. And your presence is greatly appreciated. So thank you. So let's get into the topic. I don't know why I feel like saying this. And the heavyweight champion is... Oh my gosh, this is not a boxing match. So I just felt like saying that. But anywho, the topic is change is like a teeter totter. Isn't it? It goes up, it goes down, and sometimes you feel like, did I make the right decision? Was I supposed to make this change? Or was I not supposed to make this change? And I'm here to tell you that you were supposed to make the change. Change is wonderful because even if it doesn't work out the way that you intended, because you know how I always explain to each and every one of you that nothing is fixed, right? It can be fixed, but it should be a free-flowing energy within inside of yourself, because everything inside of you is water anyway. So if you can incorporate and embody more of that energy of free-flowing and beating to a drum that can go this way or that way rather than just staying complacent, you will come out more victorious when you learn how to be more free-flowing in your now moments, okay? There are stages to change. The reason why there are stages is because you are moving from a fixed thought process and a one way of doing things or thinking or acting or even speaking to being more adaptable and more flexible with your everything I just said, with your thoughts, with your tongue, with your movement, on how you interact with others, how you interact with yourself. As you move into this area of becoming your highest and greatest version of yourself, change is great, because if you are inflexible and you only have one way of doing things, or maybe two, that's still not free-flowing enough for you to be able to embrace change and laugh at it when it doesn't work out. Because at least you have the courage and the stamina to try it anyway, even if you're really taking the fool's journey to the max, right? It still shows you that you are capable of picking yourself up if the change that you made might not have been the best one, okay? But it doesn't mean you don't do it. It doesn't mean you don't make a change, especially if you see that something isn't working. And we all know the saying, you keep doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same results. It can create bung, 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 bung. And we don't want that. Who wants that? We don't need that on top of everything else we deal with in this journey, in this matrix. Who wants to feel like they're going bing, bong, boom, bing, bong? Nobody wants to feel that. I don't want to feel that. So let's not do that to ourselves anymore. Let's understand that you are changing the way you speak to yourself. Maybe you were a person who always said negative things to yourself and you didn't even realize you were doing that. You thought it was just nothing, and it was just, oh, I'm just saying this and that. And you now you're realizing that your tongue has created the outcome that you are in right now, right? Or has created the scenario that you're in. So now you're retracting your words and you're making sure that you're more conscious and more intentional with them. And each time you say something negative about yourself, you're changing it into a positive, right? or each time you've allowed someone else to say something negative to you and you never stood up for yourself. Now you're standing up for yourself. So that's a change. And that's a big change because one, it's a change for you. And you're showing yourself you can have more confidence within your day-to-day, your now moments where you don't allow people to speak to you in certain ways. And that's so empowering in itself, but it is a bit scary too, because it's a new territory, right? And then you have to deal with the backlash because the person or people or personnels who have been used to doing that now have to retract themselves because you have spiritual boundaries and you no longer allow it, right? So that's a big change, and it can go good some days, and some days it could go not so good because, like I said, these energies are used to you being a certain way. That's one piece. It could be even the way you feel about working today. You know, you thought you would always be in this one field, or you thought you would always stay in this one job, and you had it set in stone and you saw the future in it. And you're realizing that you might have to make a change and either leave it, go to a different department, or you're like realizing I don't even want to do this altogether. Like I'm having a different craving to make finances in a whole nother way. And it's a way that you never even thought you could do or would do. So that's a huge change. So you might go back and forth. That should I stay at this job? Should I not? Should I leave? Well, I have this, I have that. Wait. I'm stepping out on the Fool card. I'm stepping out on faith, and I'm just going to go free flowing. Source, my intuition is telling me go in this area, and you go for it. Sometimes you go for it not even having things in order. You know, you just really jump off and go. I'm not saying you have to do this. I'm not saying don't be practical and don't plan. Planning is a hit or miss. Okay? Because we like to plan things. And then source is like, yeah, that's not the plan I had. So I'm going to have to throw a monkey wrench in there. And can you handle it? Can you keep up? Because it's not for the weak, right? It's always for the strong. So that is a big change in itself, okay? It could be a relationship you have to leave that you've been rocking with for many years. But the connection is done and over with. It is a dead steak that hasn't been cooked, or it's been overcooked. Either way, change is needed, and that's scary in itself as well. What do we do with all these things that we've accumulated together? How do we separate? How do we separate the dog, the kids? Or if you don't have all that, how do we leave each other when I'm so used to being around you? Okay? That's another aspect of change. What I am trying to help each and every one of you with is embracing the stages of the teeter totter moment. Don't get freaked out. Find things to ground yourself, because when these energies come up and you made the change and then something's not really going the way you wanted it to, doesn't mean that change was terrible. It just means that you're in the phase of change energy, and change energy has stages to it, okay? So please give yourself grace. Find ways to ground yourself, whatever that means to you. And don't always feel like you need to reach out and touch someone or reach out and get their feedback on what you're going through. The best policy is to sit with yourself, ask your intuition, and go through the motions by yourself. And you already know That source in your higher self is always with you. You're never alone. You are never alone. Okay? The reason why I suggest that you go within and you go with self, source, and your higher self first before you start asking other people's opinions and questions on what you should do and how you should do it, and do you think I made the right change, is because they are clouded and fractured in their own mental capacities, okay? Not saying they're crazy, not saying they're bad, but they're dealing with their own form of mental stuff, okay? So they're only going to be able to give you what they can with the tools that they have. And their tools might not be as great as yours, or they might be greater. Either way, it's best to go with your own intuition, your own God, source. Everyone has access to this energy so that you can get the clarity and the right and true organic answer. Okay? So, I hope this helped at least one of you, and I am so rooting for your change. I'm sending you so much, I'm sending you perfect pace. Slow down. Take it easy. I'm sending you the energy of calmness, relaxation through this period, and the ability to not self-doubt your change, but to embrace it because it was needed, because the way you were going wasn't serving you well. Okay? And until next time, take care.